What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in everyone to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell. In this episode, we're going to discuss, is this Ravens defense good enough to carry an offense that was struggling with its starter and now looks like it's going to be led by the backup Tyler Huntley for the next 2 to 4 weeks. And so in this important last 5 games, this stretch run, whereas they're competing to try and stay at the top of the AFC North, or at the very least get in one of those final wild card spots, we kind of are questioning whether or not this defense is going to be good enough to get the job done. So Jimbo, you see Lamar's out. You see that this offense that was already struggling is going to be without its best player, its leader. We see the struggles in the run game. So it's pretty clear that the defense is going to have to play well if this team's going to go where it wants to go. So where's your confidence level right now in this defense?
Yeah, it's really funny because I felt like, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but right after the 10-9 victory, a lot of people were like, this felt like a lot. It felt a lot like a 2000 Ravens football win. And, you know, almost in a negative way, like a derogatory way. And finally, I saw Qadri Ismail was like, yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that season ended in a glorious parade downtown Baltimore City where I got a shiny ring from, right? So all that said, I'm not saying this is the 2000 defense. Don't get it twisted, right? Like, I don't want anyone out there like, Jimbo thinks this is the 2000. No, that would be blasphemous. But my confidence is pretty high. My confidence is high for a few reasons, not just because of how good our defense is playing, but also because I think the schedule is pretty favorable for the defense to really dominate and have an impact other than just stopping the other team from scoring, really putting our offense in some really beneficial scenarios to make life a little easier for Snoop. I mean, think about it. We got Marcus Williams coming back, right? The D-line is playing incredibly, incredibly well. And I know that you're going to get into some stats here and we'll talk about rankings and stuff like that. The secondary, or as far as the corners, everyone, you know, is giving Marcus Peters a hard time, but I think he had a decent game last week. And I'm hoping that he'll continue to play better. But I think that this is potentially Marlon Humphrey's best season that I've seen him play thus far. He's just been absolutely incredible. Our pass rush that was non-existent, you know, for you and I included, right? Like everyone's concerned and sounding alarms about the pass rush. Not a topic of conversation anymore. Adafe Owe is, you know, got a sack. Man, you know what I mean? That's Cal jumped over the moon type scenario. So there's a lot of things trending in the right way for this defense. So my confidence is high in them being able to really, like you said, Glenn, get the job done. And you know, just to add to that, I talked about the schedule. In 4 weeks, they play Kenny Pickett twice. Hey, that's okay with me, right?
I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, they play Marcus Mariota, who is
Ain't
Marcus. Yeah, right. He's Marcus Mariota. I mean, he can't.
And Deshaun Watson, while the team had great success last week, he looked very rusty. Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you what, every home game, I don't know if you heard, but there's going to be people. I mean, every home game is now a political statement for people that are on whichever side for Lamar, you know, for Deshaun Watson, right?
Yeah.
So there's this whole sideshow.
Distraction, yeah.
Right, and it's just going on and on, and so yeah, I think it's really favorable for the Ravens defense to really show out. Last thing I'll add, the thing that concerns me most is that rushing attack that the Browns have.
Yeah.
But even with that said, I mean, our statistics from a defense, from a passer, or excuse me, from a rushing attack perspective are really favorable, you know, as far as stopping the run. So I'm flying high, no pun intended here, but I'm flying high, man. Am I too high, Glenn?
Well, I think you're right in that the defense has certainly been playing well for the most part. You know, you mentioned their rush defense. They're third in opponents' rush per yard. Yards per gain. They only gain 3.8 yards per rush. That's third in the league. In fact, teams don't really run the ball that much against us. They lead the league in opponents' rushes per game. They only run the ball 21 times on average against the Ravens. So they're certainly good against the run. There's no doubt about it. and they've been better against the pass as the year has gone on. But my big concern, Jimbo, is and continues to be the fourth quarter defense. Now, last week, the Ravens won the fourth quarter, something that the Ravens hadn't been doing all season. They won 7-0 and they closed them out. But Jimbo, if I ask you, let me ask you this. If there was 10 more seconds, 15 more seconds in that Broncos game, do the Broncos get in field goal range and kick that field goal?
Yeah, that's a great point. I have to say the answer is yes.
And that's a problem that they still can't fix, that even when they're playing a Denver Broncos team that had fans in the stands wearing paper bags on their heads saying, Denver Broncos, let's hide on their back. Like that, if you can't stop Russell Wilson and this group of Denver Broncos, which, by the way, I think they lost at that point. They had lost Cortland Sutton. He was out. So really you're defending a rookie tight end in Dulcich, who was having a pretty good day, and then Jerry Jeudy. But that's really it. And they damn near pulled it off and got in field goal range. So that's my concern. Like, is this defense good enough when it actually matters most, which is the fourth quarter? And we've at least seen 4 opportunities that they had it. They had a multi-score lead. In 4 occasions, they lost. So, man, while I'm hopeful because I feel like the guys are there. Like, they have the pieces, but they just haven't been able to put it together in the moments where it seems like it matters most. And man, they still got to play Burrow down the stretch, who just beat the number 1 seed Chiefs right now. And so, man, I'm just concerned. While I see the first 3 quarters, I get real excited, but then this fourth quarter, man, they just can't seem to shake it.
Yeah, those are valid concerns, Glenn, and now you got me more concerned than when I started this. I gotta have courage in my conviction and stick with it, right? But you do got me concerned. But those are valid concerns. My overall concern, if I have one, is really outside of their inability to play complete games in situations that we've seen throughout the season is the offense is just favored in today's NFL, right? Like, you can't duplicate a dominating, suffocating defense, right? Yeah. But the bright spot to this, Glenn, because you talked about the pass rush rankings the playing against the rush, the defensive ability to stop the rushing attack of the opposing team. But if you look at the passing, the ability to stop the pass, it's not as pretty, right? They rank a bit lower. If you're talking about completion percentage, they rank 26. If you're talking about yards per pass, they rank 21st. Things of that. In yards per game, they rank 25th. But right now they are 11th in interceptions per pass. So what I think can really help this defense in these games is what has been their ability to, Marcus Williams hopefully comes back soon, their ability to turn the ball over against the Kenny Pickett, who has been pretty prone to turnovers, against the Deshaun Watson, who's rusty, against Mariota, who can't read anybody. You can't throw anybody open, has to see the open guy. Those are ways that this defense can, outside of having to play a complete game, they can just turn the tables on the other team a couple times a game. We could be having a really serious conversation about the Ravens doing some great things on defense. So that's what has me holding on, is that even though the passing attack hasn't been great, I'm not nervous in these next 4 games about any passing attack, except
that's a good point. Maybe
the Browns, but the Browns are a run heavy team, right? They go as Chubb and Hunt go.
Yeah. Yeah, and one game isn't going to knock off the rust. 2 games isn't going to do it. So
right.
Watson's still
playing over 700 days.
Yeah, it's a long, long time. And yeah, I think the pointing out the distraction's a very real thing as well. One area the Ravens have been really good on defensively has been third downs. They're second in the league in third down conversions. They hold their opponents to converting just 31% of their third down opportunities. If they can keep that up, keep the interceptions, and keep the turnover rate up, then I think they have a good chance. But man, they just have to, like Mike McDonald. Some of the play calls that he's used in some of these fourth quarter collapses have been really head scratching. I know he doesn't. I like that he doesn't blitz like crazy, and that he's not just so stubborn with his attack. Because now we're seeing it in New York with the Giants, where look, Wink's still coming after you. He's still playing man defense, and I like that we're not seeing that ridiculous amount of pressures, even with a lack of personnel on the back end. But I also don't want to see the whole opposite end of that. Like I've seen too much of this soft coverage where we're giving up chunks of yards, and it's just kind of like a bend but don't break. But you can't just sacrifice and give up 10, 15 yards at the end of the game at that clip. I worry about some of the play calls that I see from Mike McDonald, but this is his first year, and I know that every game is a learning experience, and hopefully by season's end, he'll gained enough experience from this first season that he'll be ready for a playoff run. And hopefully the players will help get him to that point where we can actually see if this team's got it, man. If Lamar comes back for for the last game, for the Bengals game, and we see some rhythm, then I'm going to start to get a little bit more confident. But right now I'm a little nervous here, Jimbo.
So, Glenn, if you had to answer today, does the defense have what it takes to get us there?
Yes.
It's an affirmative, ladies and gentlemen.
But let's be honest. Some of that's because of their opponent.
Yeah, but hey, it is what it is. Context matters, right?
Not to say they're easy. These are all tough games, but it could be tougher.
Styles make fights. Stylistically speaking, these matchups favor the Ravens. Najee Harris, bring it, Mr. 3 yards a carry. We'll take it all day.
The Falcons want to run it all day. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing with the Browns. We'll take it, and we'll put our strength up against their supposed strength, and we'll see who comes out the victor. So I agree with you, Glenn. I'm excited about it. I'm hyped about it. I know that Huntley obviously is going to be leading the charge like we've talked about, and everyone knows unless you live under a rock. But get excited about this defense. Hunker down for some old school Ravens football. Get excited about it. Lean into it for all you young fans. Go watch some old YouTube of the 2000 Ravens and even the other defenses, the organized chaos, Rex Ryan defenses. Yeah, all of them, man. Go check it out because that's what we're about to see. Ravens defense putting on a clinic for the next month. Leave all your comments below, and we'll talk to you guys soon.